Hey, everybody, welcome back to another wonderful episode of Fix Your BS, where BS can stand for belief systems, also balance sheets, and also business systems, because all those things matter. But your beliefs are what start you in the direction of your dream life. We talk about relationships, business, health, finances, and beliefs. And we always are looking on the internet trying to find the best individuals that are successful in one or more of those areas. And we have found another one today to talk about real estate as well as how to build purpose in your community. We want to build some purpose. I love the word purpose. This is Tanur Badgley. Tanur Badgley is the co-founder and CEO of HomeGuru. He's a dedicated entrepreneur, community builder, and podcast host that is spearheading a transformative movement in the real estate industry around the Kansas City area. Thank you so much for being here, Tanur. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to dive into your expertise as well as how you got to where you are today.
Thank you for having me, Greg. That's a great intro. I love the name, the BS, having like three different meanings. I think they call it like a triple entendre or something like that. Yeah, I think that's really neat, and I'm excited to talk about those things.
Yeah, man. Well, it started out as Fix Your BS, the book, which is all about belief systems. But when I realized that I know quite a bit about small business, regional business, as far as growing it and putting in systems and operations, because I've been able to do that with my regenerative medicine company. And we realized that, well, business systems has the same two letters, and then balance sheets have the same two letters. And most people don't work on their business appropriately or their balance sheets appropriately. And so we just put it all together. I'm glad you liked it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. And we want to talk about the real estate, obviously, but also that purposeful community creator. Because I think so many people are trying to do that. They're trying to create a purposeful or find purpose in their own life and then want to create a community around it. It's very common in today's day and age.
Yeah, I mean, I identify as that because a lot of what I'm doing is so that we can bring people together and connect them to their most authentic self. I believe that the way that you find your purpose is by tapping into like who you are and how you were designed and what gifts you have. And we can really do that when we're in community with each other. You're showing each other things about life, about what what beliefs are. You're like a lot of I think that determines your success or who you surround yourself with. And so putting people into purposeful, intentional communities for specific goals, I think does a lot to really unlock people's potential and therefore achieve their purpose.
I love that, man. And you're so right. Figuring out who you are first has to do with figuring out who you're not.
Yeah.
And how do you figure out who you're not? You try things, you experience things, you get around other people who've experienced things, and you start to identify what I like, what I don't like, and who my tribe is. And the more you understand that, the more you can start hanging out with more people like that. So tell me a little bit about, real estate as far as your real estate startup entrepreneur. I want to know more about that because there's this, these statements that people make that 90% of people that are millionaires, did it in real estate, which we'll get into whether I agree or disagree with that in a minute. But go ahead. Tell me a little bit about real estate and starting up and being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so real estate came about because I have a podcast called People of Purpose, and I interviewed a handful of real estate entrepreneurs in a row. And I realized it's a pretty good way to get started in entrepreneurship because you don't have to have some brand new inventive idea. You just run a business model that's been around for 100+ years. And as long as you can execute and build a team around that, you're going to likely succeed. You don't have to go and shoot for the moon with some app that may or may not make it. And that was what initially attracted me about real estate. And then there's also this sense of everyone needs it. Everyone interacts with it. It almost felt like it's like a life skill that we should all have to some degree. And so I just got interested in it from that component too, to build assets, to be able to leverage capital, to be able to build a team of people that all have specific functions. Real estate is so good for all those things. And you don't have to have some rocket scientist type of degree to be able to achieve success at it. So that's kind of how real estate was born, as well as this idea that you can achieve some level of passive income where your expenses are covered by the income on your properties. That was really
Yeah,
alluring to me when I first started.
that's awesome, man. So tell me where you're at now. I mean, compared to where you started, Home Guru is a a distinctive approach, if you will, or an a new or a unique, let's say, a unique approach. So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about that, because people are always looking for the edge. They're looking for the new thing. They're looking for how can I do this in a better way to become more successful in this journey. And then we'll talk a little bit about real estate investing and 9 out of 10 people becoming millionaires. So let's talk about first the your approach.
Yeah, so our business model was born out of the way I achieved my first home, which was I got owner financed. They call it seller financing, where the former owner of the property sold me the house. I got ownership over it, and he took back a loan on it. So there was no bank involved. I
Mm.
didn't have to qualify with a bank, which as an entrepreneur is very hard to do because you're controlling your taxable basis so much. You're writing off so many of your ordinary daily expenses, and then also a lot of your cash is getting converted to equity on properties. And
So
so it was
let's
real.
stop there for a second, because a lot of people listening to this are going to say one thing. They're going to say, "Why would anyone take a note on their own house and sell it to somebody without totally selling it? Why would somebody do that?" Now, I can tell you why I've had people do that, and I know why, but tell everybody listening why anyone would do that.
Yeah, so we do it now. That's our primary business model. And the reason I do it is because I still get the benefits of that piece of property without having to be the owner of it. The owner has to do maintenance, repairs. They have to fill the vacancy with tenants. They have to be an active participant in it. Well, if you want to upgrade yourself and be a passive beneficiary of having this asset, it's better to be the lender. You're getting usually a higher sales price. You're getting a down payment that is pretty tax-free form of income for you. And you are achieving a lot of appreciation right away because you're working with a buyer that's willing to pay more of a premium. And you don't have to go fix up your house to the top level standard because not many people are selling their house like this. So there's a supply and demand thing in your favor. And on
Yeah.
top of that, you can collect an interest rate as well. That is just how the banks collect it. You get a lot of interest on the beginning of these loans because of the way amortizing interest works. So all of that combination is a reason that I found it really interesting to owner finance properties.
Yeah, and it's more available than people might think. Like people
Hmm.
think so small a lot of times in the traditional ways of doing things, but it's way more than available than you might think. There are people out there, especially nowadays, when I think it's something like 10,000 baby boomers are retiring every day, like something ridiculous like that, like 10,000 every day. That's millions a year that are retiring. So if they want to get out of a house, if they want to, do something else, if they want to, let's say, go and live their golden years and buy a little motorhome and take off, but they don't want to get rid of their house totally, or they don't want to take the tax burden of selling their house and have all this capital gains. They're like, what do I do with this? So they can find somebody like you. And the upside to that is if you end up screwing up and defaulting on the loan, they get the thing back.
Yeah, exactly. They're in the same protections the bank is. So nowadays we do a lot of this with private lenders. We're not acquiring as much on owner financing as we did in the beginning because now we're a lot more bankable and we have lenders on our back pocket. So we'll take a private lender and we'll buy the house, we'll put them in first position. And then I go and I owner finance it to a family, usually a immigrant entrepreneur type, like a Latino contractor,
Mm.
someone that's familiar with the trades that can work on the cosmetics of the house, and is willing to pay more of a premium because they get ownership. They don't have to keep renting. Well, that lender that's on the property gets that first position, meaning that if I stop paying, if I'm in default, they get back the entire house, which is another, they don't want that to happen. But if it does, you're making a whole bunch of money when you do that. And then you can just do it again. You can go and sell it outright or you can owner finance it again. So what's cool about the strategy is like, even in the worst case scenario, you're usually making more money than if it had just worked out according to plan.
Yeah. That's awesome. So
Um,
you can acquire houses that way. You can sell houses that way if you have a lender that's available too, and do it in a way that you're the bank. You're the one earning the interest. And people, I think, they forget about being inventive in trying to find ways to make money. There's so many ways out there to make money. Now, in real estate, I believe so when they say 9 out of 10 people, 90% of people are millionaires because of real estate, I don't think they became millionaires because of real estate. I think they hold their money in real
Mm-hmm.
estate. And they became a millionaire in some way, shape, or form. Now you can become a millionaire easy in real estate because it's so available. It's everywhere. Like it's everywhere, and there's
Yeah.
so many different ways that you can acquire and use it to improve your economic status. But what are some ways that you would recommend? Like if somebody's listening to this right now, even if they're in the beginning or if they're in the middle, what would you recommend? How would they get started in doing something? Or if they're in the middle, like they've started, how can they make money? How can they get the best returns off of it?
Yeah, I mean, just to back up, it starts with what your intention is, knowing your purpose, knowing how you're kind of wired, what your gifts are, and forming a system around that. For me, I knew that I can go be the leader that steps in first. I'm okay to take quote unquote risks with my capital. I'm not going to be the guy that's an expert at rehabbing the properties. I'm not going to be the guy that's an expert at doing the tenants. I'm eventually going to get burned out at making deals with sellers. And so I decided to build a team around me. And that was my approach. If you're just a one man person with no money and some time, which I think is how most people get started in real estate, then you need to do the labor yourself. You need to go out and find deals. I think the fastest way to find a deal is to find a wholesaler that it finds deals for you. So there's all these people out there that have built these cold calling, texting, mailing systems, and they're talking to leads all day. They're knocking on doors. They're showing up in living rooms. They're negotiating deals. They don't buy the deals. They just go and market them to someone that wants to own an investment property. And so we buy a lot from them, and you can usually get a 25, 30% discount to market value just like that. And you don't have any cost of marketing, and you can get your first deal in a week. So I would say that if your goal is to actually own the assets, that is the quickest way to success. For us, we wanted to learn everything, so we started as wholesalers. We did over 100 deals wholesale, and we got to learn a whole bunch about how to analyze properties. We met all the biggest players in our industry, and that gave us credibility to raise capital and do this and do that. And now every deal we buy, we end up keeping. The hard part about real estate is you usually can't just keep every deal that you buy because you have a cash flow challenge. It's usually more money into the deal to get started than it's going to return you right away. Real estate's a get rich slow process. And so you usually start with like some form of flipping, whether that's wholesaling or actually rehabbing the house and flipping it, in nicer condition. And then you take some of your profits and you try to hold and hold and hold as much as you can without, going cash negative. Um,
That that's
yeah, I
so
hope
good
that
though. That
helps.
I love that you're saying cash flow though, because that is the number one um most important word in business is cash flow. And so
Hmm.
you're so right. You're monitoring that money in, money out, and when you're looking at doing a deal, you got to figure that whole thing out. So talk to me a little bit about cash flow and your perspective, and what you've
Yeah.
come to understand.
Yeah. So what was happening with us is we got into real estate. I got into real estate to build wealth, to own equity, to have monthly income coming in. And that's what I called cash flow, which is can I get to $10,000 a month coming in passively from cash flow without needing to do any labor to earn the money? That's always kind of been my initial goal. Like I think for most American people, most people around the world, if you can achieve $1 million in equity, that's making you $10,000 a month net like to you, you've achieved some level of financial freedom. Like you don't need to work for money anymore. And that's always been kind of the stage one goal. And here I am like 4 years in, and I'm probably rounding the corner on that number like later this year, which is super exciting. But cash flow, that when you look at it like a business owner, is more about what available operating capital you have to pay your marketing, to pay your payroll, to pay yourself, to have reserves in case of challenges, to be able to float the business through the winter time when you have less deals, to be able to capitalize when you find more deals. And you need to keep that positive. Well, the challenge that we were having was we were wholesaling everything and we were building cash flow, but we weren't building any of that monthly residual income. And so we took the opposite approach. We tried to keep everything. And then what happened was the monthly went up, but the cash in the bank kept going towards zero. And we had to like, at one point we had to lay off like 6 people from our team. And we had to figure out how can we bring other investors into our business and share this pie a little bit because we were just self-funding every deal. And so what's kind of been the
I bet you
result?
that was a tough time though.
Oh yeah, that was a tough
Yeah.
time for sure. Like I came to really like all the people on my team and we were functioning really well with the old model, but then we realized that old model is just kind of a high paying rat race still. I'm not actually keeping any assets when you're wholesaling 100 houses. You're making 10, 12, 15 grand checks, but then you're also putting a whole bunch out for new marketing. And you have to have a big team. You have to have a call center, a text message thing. It was a full on thing. And then rules were changing around the regulations
Mm.
with spamming people's phone numbers. And then I also personally didn't feel like it was super purposeful. I was just making a lot of hedge funds richer. And nowadays, like we've built a model for cash flow of all kinds and for purpose. And that's what we're doing with our home guru, where we're owner financing families for home ownership. And that is actually creating a lot of positive cash flow because we're getting down payments of $25,000 at the beginning of these deals, which cover what it took for us to buy the house and provide that $12,000 profit. And then we're also creating monthly cash flow, and it's actually true cash flow because we're not going to have to go renovate these properties. We're not planning on them being vacant. So I actually get to keep the cash flow. And then we're also building equity because we've sold the house at usually 15% above its retail value. Well, we bought it at 75. So there's like another 50, 60, $70,000 spread, on the Kansas City property. Um, so I'm getting a balance of, we got money coming in today, we got money coming every month, and we have equity coming to us like in the 3, 5, 7 years when these families refinance or sell their house. I'm gonna get paid like the bank. I get paid the remaining 50, 60 grand. And that's a model that I feel like a lot of people can accomplish. It's just not being taught for some reason in real estate.
So is that one of the things you do now? Is at Home Guru you teach that to people, or is that just your model that you use?
It's yeah, so we're in the very beginning phases of learning how to become more of an education company. I would say I teach a ton of people because I have a team of people that all had to get taught it. I've even had like one of our top guys leave and go create his own company. And he's still like someone I give support to every week or two. We go to conferences together and he's one of my best friends in the industry. I don't view competition like that. I think there's plenty of these deals for people, and it's very cool to teach. And yeah, he's one of the people that's saying like, go make this a thing. Like more people should know about this, because if you do the math, it takes just about 10 houses, maybe 12 houses, and you and your wife can replace your income from your job with like 10 to 12 of these things performing for you. And I think you could do that in a year part time on the side with just you and your wife, for most people. And
That's awesome.
I think that's like a program I would like to create here maybe in a year or so.
Well, maybe you could do that, right? That's
Yeah.
awesome though. And a lot of people want that. They want to be able to put a something on the side that they're able to, generate wealth, generate an extra income, generate something that is helping their family succeed without them having to work the hours to do it. Like building something that is creating more of a generational type wealth over time, as opposed to, hey, I work these hours and you pay me, and now I got to work hours and pay me. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, but if you can do both, man, even better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for me, I mean, I took the journey that's like really hard and gritty and like what like maybe a true entrepreneur would take, which is just go all in, go
Mm,
full time, declare independence before I actually had the cash flow to like do it. And I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 5 years now. Uh,
mm.
and it's worked. But I think for a lot of people, they're a little bit more conservative and safety oriented, and they might have kids and prior commitments and have big debts and stuff. I would like to create a program where in like 5 to 10 hours a week on the side, you can be making deals happen, and like doing them in this way, which is, I think, just way smarter for cash flow, tax benefits, freedom, purpose.
I
And for
guarantee
some
you there's a lot
reason,
of
there's
people
no guru
listening.
talking about it.
Yeah, I guarantee there's a lot of people listening right now that would want that same thing. They would be very into that for sure.
Hmm.
So they obviously they can go online and they can look at you on Instagram.
Hmm.
Everybody can click the link as always. You can go to Tanur Badgley, which is TANURBADGLEY,
Yep.
and go to Instagram that way. How else can they get a hold of you though?
Yeah, I think the Instagram DM is like a good first way. Um, and then from there we can there's a link to book a meeting with me if you want to book the link in the bio. Yeah, like a 20-minute meeting, I think is how I usually like to start things off and see if there's a connection there. I'm pretty busy. Like I haven't like sold my company or automated it or anything. I'm the CEO of it and still COO. We're actually on a job search for a COO. So it's like a pretty big hire for us. We're doing about 5 deals a month right now. We're looking to jump to the 10 to 12 a month mark, and we just need like a leader that's different than me to lead that charge because I'm more of like the visionary leader person and I got
Yeah,
ideas and I'm good at like building company culture and striking deals with vendors. But for the daily management execution, I think there's someone with a different brain and passion and skill set that can take us there. And my hope is once we're there, that's where I start to really hit the education side hard and get an initial beta round of students going and help people achieve financial success.
that's awesome. I love that. And you're so right. I talk about that a lot, visionary versus integrator. The visionary
Yeah.
is the person that's out there trying to you know, see where the vision of the business is headed. And you need that integrator. You need somebody to put the things into place that are going to need to be done in order to get to achieve that goal. So I totally love that.
Yeah.
Any last final words of advice or things that you could tell people as a final statement, that they could really take home?
Yeah, so your podcast about belief systems. I think one thing uh that has helped me achieve success is just changing my belief system.
Mm,
Before entrepreneurship, there's a lot of stuff being fed to you about don't use debt. There's a lot of stuff about copy things that have worked already. There's like phase into this. Well, for me, I just got in the back of a car. I went with an investor mentor for a week and I found my first property and I had no connection to that town. I had no money. I had no credit at that point because I just spent $25,000 on seminars from 0% interest credit cards and I had no partner. And I was moving to Thailand in a month to get married. And I think just taking that belief system that I can figure this out by just saying yes because I know it's part of my next step in my purpose, that has helped me throughout this journey. Even when times like you talk about cash flows going to zero, someone's still got to hold the belief that this company is viable, that this business is viable. And you're usually like one idea or one connection and relationship away from making that breakthrough. And I find that as long as you're true to that belief identity that your future identity belief, you're bringing it into the now, you're going to achieve those breakthroughs and get to that next tier and next level of success.
I love that, man, because we talk about that a lot. We talk about being relentless, having that vision, never giving up, constantly
Mm-hmm.
moving toward it. Things aren't going to go your way. Some things are going to go your way. It doesn't matter if they don't go your way. That just means you need to learn something and move forward. And that's what we're trying to educate as well. We teach that constantly to people. That's what you do. You move forward, constantly push. And I love that you've done that and that you've taken this journey. I'd love to present this to people when you do create that home guru course. I'd love to be able to give that to our listeners and viewers and the people, our tribe, the people that follow me, because it's all about entrepreneurship, business creation, growth, expansion, all these things that
Yeah.
are great. But if you can get a shortcut by learning from what other people have already done, going through that fire, man, works so much cleaner.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds like a good deal. Yeah, I would say the hardest thing about my business model is just understanding how the finance works. There's some level of knowledge about how equity and cash flow, like you talked about, but then there's also amortizations of loans. There's how to introduce private lenders. There's positions of liens.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then there's just like the sales and marketing part on top of that. But yeah, I think I can help people like overcome a lot of those intimidating hurdles um, just with a few short hours, some online and probably a group coaching setting. And I would say probably within a month or two, you'll be able to find your first deal and then you just work through the phases of it. And I recommend going slow and smooth. through each one, and then reflect at each stage. And then next round, you're going to go faster, and then you go faster. Then you take 2 at a time, and 3 at a time, and 4 at a time. You hire your first people, and yeah, you're just growing from having the resources and the knowledge, and you're getting a confidence as you do that too. It's just this really sustainable synergy that gets created.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate it, Tanner. I appreciate your insights and your guidance. And that's so true. Like, people need to listen to that and really pay attention. If you guys are interested, go to the link below. You can also go to Instagram and type in TANURBADGLEY. And you can check him out. Direct message him. He'll be more than happy to help you out. He's got a book a time there, book a free call right there on the Calendly, right in the bio of Instagram. Everybody listening to this, make sure you share this with somebody. That's how we're able to help more people learn about entrepreneurship, business, balance sheets, money, finances, relationship, all sorts of things that will help improve their lives. I think the big one from today is just that you need to keep going. It's relentless. It's pursuit. Keep pushing and you'll get to your goals. Love that you were here, Tanner. Really appreciate you. Everybody reach out to Tanner. Everybody share this with someone. So Fix Your BS can continue to help you build your dream life on your terms. Till next time, this has been Dr. G, Dr. Greg Persley with Fix Your BS.